Everyone tells you to save, so you do. You're disciplined, you're stacking cash, feeling responsible, yet every month, a part of you wonders, is this the right thing to do? Imagine this. You save $10,000 into a high yield savings account getting you 4% instead of paying off $10,000 of debt at a 22% interest rate. By the end of the year, you're actually going to lose $1,800 just by following this generic advice. Ouch. In this video, I'm going to show you the simple math to decide what to do first, how to protect yourself from financial stress, and the best strategy moving forward to grow your net worth even faster. Let's go back to our example of the $10,000 of debt and $10,000 of savings example. There's actually this framework to help us decide which one to focus on, debt or growing, and it's called the 7% rule. In theory, it's simple. It says if you have debt that's higher than a 7% interest rate, you should probably focus on paying off the debt. If you have debt lower than a 7% interest rate, you can focus on growing your money. But in practice, it's not so simple. The 7% rule does not factor in the stress and the emotional side of being in debt. It does not factor in the emotional side of watching your money grow but going up and down and all the risks associated with that. We know when we try to grow our money, it needs to be set it and forget it. Auto invest or auto and save, and we need to be okay with not looking at it for years. But this isn't a reality, and here's how I know that. A few months ago, the stock market dropped significantly over a short period of time. Two coworkers at my 9-to-5 job came in on the exact same day with their hair on fire, saying how their retirement savings had been completely destroyed. One of the coworkers dropped their 401k contribution percentage immediately. The other one just stopped contributing to their 401k altogether. Yeah, just stopped contributing. Here's the truth. I made zero changes to my 401k. The market bounced back, and I had one of the best returns in that account to date. If I had bought into that doom and gloom, I would have missed it. So the concept of set it and forget it is way easier said than done, but I'd love to understand if you're someone who's growing your money, are you someone that watches it like a hawk? Or do you try to sit back and trust the process a little bit? I'd love to know down in the comments. Let me know. Because when we zoom out on a long enough time horizon, that massive downturn is just the smallest little blip, but in the moment for some, it feels like life or death. That's why these little frameworks like the 7% rule are great to think about as a concept, but there's more to the story. Money is more than just the numbers. It's complicated because we aren't just dealing with logic. Emotions come into play. Debt brings on shame, fear, lack of control. This is nothing that can be quantified. It's just kind of something that simmers in the background. Many of us are told from a young age that we should save for a rainy day or have our current money make us more money. The idea of waiting around for decades sounds great in theory. So then why aren't so many people willing to stick with it? Because in my opinion, they aren't at the right stage in their money system. Think about it like this. Growing our money is the penthouse suite of a building. It's sexy. You have a great view. The problem? This is usually the first step people want to do. And last time I checked, we haven't figured out how to get a floating building. We need a foundation. This foundation should be built off mindset, debt, save, grow. This isn't me saying your mindset has to be perfect before you start paying off debt and all your debt has to be gone before you save money and your emergency fund has to be full and thriving before we start growing our money, but it's just a thought exercise of where we currently are in our personal finances. Is our foundation made out of straw or is our foundation made out of cement? I made a full course walking through how to do exactly that. It's in my free personal finance community, Dollar Discipline University. The link is below if you want to go check it out. And this resource right here is from one of the steps. I call it the What Account to Use When resource, and it's relevant to this conversation. I like to break up money goals into 4 buckets: short-term stability, long-term stability, short-term build, long-term build. This resource exists to ask ourselves, what problem are we currently trying to solve with our money? And then what accounts are there to help us solve it? Back to the penthouse suite example, the instinct is to instantly jump to that long-term build area, right? That's the fun, the sexy thing to do, when in reality, we really need to focus in first on the short-term stability. At this point, I've worked with many people on their personal finances, and I've seen this habit happen way too often where at the beginning of the month, someone has an auto invest into some long-term build account. Great, and they're all excited about it, but then you see at the end of the month, they took that money out or more of the long-term build account because something came up. And this misses the point completely. Not only is that super efficient with all the fees and taxes associated with those decisions, but they were using their long-term build account as a short-term stability option. So this resource is there to help you navigate through some of those decisions, but you do have to be honest about where you're currently at. And by the way, that does not mean that you need to feel shame or punish yourself or there's a lack of self-worth, depending on which quadrant you're in. It doesn't really matter. They're all very important. But I just can't emphasize enough how important the short-term stability is. My wife and I, we have a buffer in our checking account. We have more money in a savings account, and we have an emergency fund in a high-yield savings account. Stability lets us take bigger strategic bets towards our future. But now let's get back to the question at hand. Do we pay off debt or do we try to grow our money? Which one's more important? Both. Neither. It depends. A terrible answer, right? But if someone sat there and told you that this one direction was the one thing that everyone should be doing, a general blanketed statement that applies to all of humanity, I would say that that's not correct. Just like there's hundreds of ways to climb up your local mountain, there's hundreds of ways to reach financial freedom. You would benefit from finding the path that works best for you, but we can't do that without starting, testing, learning, and eventually optimizing. I share with you how to do all of those things inside of the free community Dollar Discipline University. So go below this video, check it out. If you just kind of want to dip your toe in and see what it's all about, I've put the entire money system for free here on YouTube, and you can check that out right here.